Welcome. The undead are among us. When there's no room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. But where will their allegiances lie? In this video, I will be changing one of the fundamental values of the world. Mankind's oldest enemy, the skeleton, will be switching teams and serving the ranks of the living. I was sent to live in exile for 100 days to see how I could use my newfound necromantic powers to wreak havoc upon the Rimworld. Here's what happened. Things began as normal. We constructed a basic base, food, shelter, storage, a mausoleum, only the bare essentials for now. Mere days into our journey, we were raided by a man named Ram. We peacefully resolved our differences and took him prisoner. His cooking and crafting skill will be very useful in the coming weeks. A pair of friendly travelers passed by shortly after, but as I have always said, a friend is just an enemy who hasn't attacked yet. We struck preemptively and captured Paul Paulson for his intellectual and crafting skill. Ram wasn't a fan of his new roommate and tried to escape his presence, but returned shortly. While waiting for these two to convert to our team, a trader was unfortunate enough to wander into my base. We decided he would be happier if he moved into our mausoleum instead. And 24 hours later, he is reborn and immediately gets to work on a few new rooms. Skeletons are incapable of some of the finer things in life, and they have pretty low levels in just about everything. This is why we need to keep a few of the more talented members of the colony alive. Skeletons make up for their deficits by not having feelings and being able to survive without sleep or food. It's every employer's dream. Ram once again attempts to escape and is peacefully pacified by our newfound skeleton. A raider from the Night Leopards arrives, and seeing as he has no useful skills, we move him into our mausoleum to make him more useful to us. The next night he rises from his tomb, a new man, free of all that ailed him in his past life. More peaceful wanderers arrive and are killed on sight. We begin construction on more necromantic sarcophagi to keep up with the demand. Another raider is dispatched, and I realize that skeletons do not care about tainted apparel, and I let them have free reign on the pseudo-thrift store we've been building out back. I suppose wearing clothes someone died in isn't as bad if you are the one who died in them. Paul Paulson finally converted, and I decided to use his crafting skill to make a few axes for my growing army. In the meantime, I developed the base a little more and get some research done while the skeletons gather resources. A group of poor travelers arrive begging for medicine, and in my infinite kindness, I gift them everlasting life instead. The mausoleum is currently at capacity, so we house the pending tenants in the freezer for now. I gain more skeleton workers, and Ram decides to finally join the good guys. More raiders arrive and are just overwhelmed with our numbers. Every raid simply makes us stronger. With the amount of colonists I have, any task is seen to and completed almost immediately. Raid after raid hits our base. We capture someone named Turtle and house the rest of the enemies in the mausoleum, adding to my army. I'm like the Night King if he just sat alone at home and got attacked repeatedly. Before we take the fight back to all those that have wronged us, I expanded my crafting area and crafted weapons for all my men. I made mostly melee weapons. The plan was to throw wave after wave of men at whatever we wanted to destroy. After they were all armed, I needed to prepare just a little more. I sent my army to build a wall around our perimeter, turning our base into a compound. This will hopefully protect the researchers within while the army is away. While that's getting done, I commissioned a few suits of wooden plate armor for all our combatants, as well as steel helmets. Lastly, I commissioned a few LMGs. I figure if they don't have good accuracy, they may as well shoot a lot of bullets. Also, controlling a lot of melee fighters at the same time is kinda hard. At this point, we're gaining skeletons from the raids faster than we can equip them, so we send our army out into the world as is. Skeletons are technically considered slaves in this mod, so they need a non-skeleton to lead them. I chose Rush, as his name seemed best suited for a commander of the undead. Our men gather and move out to attack their target. We arrive in the dead of night, and forego all elegance, simply walking directly towards the target and opening fire. My men form an impenetrable phalanx, covering our LMG users from being touched, while a cacophony of bullets and arrows shower my opponents. With the enemy destroyed and their home abandoned, we take this opportunity to extract all natural resources from around the enemy base, as I feel they won't be needing them anymore. We carry all the resources home, along with as many fallen opponents as we can hold, in order to grow the army further. Upon our return, I immediately queue up more equipment for our men. helmets for the unhelmed, and chain shotguns for the unchained shotgunned. While waiting for these to be completed, I rescue some people from their ancient crypto-sleep caskets and expand our mausoleum even further. With the new members joining, our colonist count has reached the second row. At this point, our skeletons are incapable of creating the next tier of weaponry for themselves, and our humans are too busy concerning themselves with things they don't deserve, like food, sleep, and happiness. It's simply too inefficient for the colonists to create what they need for themselves. Crafting weapons and armor for each and every skeleton would take an age. We must return to the methods of old, a technique as old as mankind itself. Find someone with the thing you want, and kill them. We send our men to the more well-equipped neighbors to the south, and we destroy them. Any casualties are meaningless because we capture any dead enemies from the battlefield. In the meantime, back at base, Ram has decided that now was the perfect time to hatch his plan for revenge upon our colony. He starts a fire in the workshop, and another one in the dorm. We arrest him to stop his rampage, but it's too late. Our skeletons see smoke on the horizon and begin the journey home. But alas, they arrive too late. Flames leap from building to building, engulfing anything and everyone in their path. Ram is met with man's most inescapable foe, the consequences of his own actions, and he burns in the blaze. Perishing alongside him are Paul and Bite, leaving our colony without a knowledgeable crafter for the future. Lesser men may have called it there, but my army are not men, and they work to rebuild their home out of an inflammable stone. Side by side, brick by brick, they work tirelessly to restore what was once a prison, which has become a homestead. During reconstruction, many raids arrived, but they proved no match for an army scorned. Seeing everything they love burn has instilled within my men an insatiable bloodlust, but with our crafters dead, we were left to subsist on whatever survived the fire. The armory was picked clean, with some soldiers even traveling unarmed. The only way to attain better firepower was to raid. I gather my men and quickly close in on another enemy base to raid for supplies. The firing line of chain shotguns annihilate all who stand and fight, while the wise combatants who seek escape from the swarm don't fare much better. Weapons, armor, shield belts, even anything nailed to the floor will be taken, along with the nails. We regroup at home, multiply our forces, and head back out into the world to wreak havoc upon the living. We are simply too big to fail at this point, and any attempts to pick at our numbers are futile. But it was at this point that I encountered my first worthy foe so far. The form caravan menu lags a lot when you try to send this many people at once. This is an issue that only compounds further the more skeletons we get. The only problem this current army has is that many of the skeletons lack armor, so I use all our remaining resources to make as many flak jackets as we can afford. With this setup, I am destroying well-equipped bases with 0 casualties. One of my men was decapitated by an explosion and was unfazed. We traveled the countryside, raiding whoever we saw fit and adding more soldiers to our cause every day. And very fittingly, on day 100, we crashed. My computer was looking out for me and found the only way it could to defeat the skeletons. And so concludes our journey, the Rimworld forever changed by the same hands that helped sculpt it in another lifetime.